I still remember the smell of damp earth and gasoline. That was the first thing that hit me when I woke up, blindfolded, tied to a chair, my head pounding like I'd been slammed against a wall. My name is Amelia Hart. I was just a small-town girl with a boring routine. Wake up, feed the cat, go to work, return home, sleep. Nothing wild, nothing risky. Until the night I disappeared. That night started like any other. I had dinner alone, lit a candle to make it feel less empty. It was raining outside, the kind of slow, whispering rain that lulled you into sleep. I was brushing my teeth when I heard it, a faint creak, like a door opening where there shouldn't be one. I froze, my heart racing. I wasn't expecting anyone. I lived alone. Then everything went dark, just like that. When I came to, I was in what felt like a basement. My arms were tied tight, but not painfully so, almost carefully. Whoever did this wasn't trying to hurt me. Not yet. My blindfold was suddenly lifted, and I blinked into a harsh yellow light. Then I saw him. He was wearing a black hoodie, mask pulled over his face, but his eyes, those cold steel blue eyes, studied me with a strange calm. He didn't speak at first, just watched me, like I was some wild animal caught in a trap. "And you don't need to be afraid," he said finally, his voice low and smooth. "And I won't hurt you unless you give me a reason." I didn't answer. I just stared back, biting the inside of my cheek to stay calm. Over the next few days, I expected the worst. I imagined torture, abuse, ransom calls, every horror my mind could create. But none of that came. Instead, he brought me food. He made sure I had a blanket when it got cold. He never touched me, not even once. He always spoke gently, even when I shouted or cursed at him. And I began to notice the small things. He had a limp, like he was injured once and never fully healed. He hummed to himself when he thought I was asleep, old jazz songs mostly, and he painted. There were canvases tucked in a corner of the room, splashed with dark, haunting colors. I saw one painting of a woman, red hair like mine, running through a forest, shadows chasing her. It made my skin crawl. One night I asked him, "Toi me?" He didn't answer right away, just stood there, looking at the painting. Then he whispered, "See, remind me of someone I lost." From then on, something changed. I couldn't explain it. A quiet connection formed between us, like a thread pulling tighter each day. He started telling me little things about himself. Nothing too personal, just breadcrumbs. He liked cinnamon in his coffee. He hated winter. He once lived by the sea. And I started talking back. Not because I forgave him. Not because I trusted him. But because the silence felt worse. Because his presence, strange as it was, became familiar. I hated him for what he did to me, but I also began to wonder who he really was under that mask. One morning, he untied my wrists so I could eat. Then he forgot to tie them back. I could have run. I could have screamed, but I didn't. Instead, I asked him, "What happened to her? The woman I remind you of?" He looked at me for a long time. Then, quietly, he said, "She died because she trusted someone she shouldn't have." And just like that, I saw the crack in his armor, the wound behind the mask. That night, he brought me upstairs, into a small room, dimly lit, with a bed and bookshelves. "And you can stay here," he said. "And you've earned that much." It should have felt like a trap, but it didn't. It felt like a strange kind of freedom. I didn't sleep that night. I sat on the bed, staring at the door, wondering what game he was playing. But he didn't come back, not until morning. Days turned into weeks. I was never chained again. I had space to move. He let me read, let me walk outside the basement for fresh air. We talked more, about life, about dreams, about loneliness. And somehow, I started laughing again. I saw him smile once, just once. It was barely a twitch, but it was there. That's when I knew the unthinkable was happening. I was falling for him. Yes, my kidnapper. The man who stole me from my life. The man whose name I still didn't know. The man who haunted my nights and slowly warmed my days. But here's the truth. I didn't dare say out loud. I wasn't afraid anymore. And that was the most dangerous part of all. Because behind that quiet charm, behind the soft voice and the sad eyes, I could feel it. A secret, a storm. Something broken that he was hiding, and maybe even running from. And I knew then, if I didn't find out what it was, it might destroy me. Or worse, make me destroy him. The more I stayed, the more the lines blurred. Right and wrong, love and fear, freedom and prison. His name I found out by accident. One day, he left the door to his room slightly open. Curiosity burned through me like wildfire. I knew it was risky, but I stepped inside quietly, heart pounding in my throat. The room was simple, neat, like a hotel. Books stacked on the nightstand, clothes folded perfectly in drawers. But what caught my eye was the notebook on his desk. Its cover was plain black, no labels. I opened it. The first page had only 2 words, "Pen for Elena." Then below that, his name, Nathaniel Cross. I whispered it to myself like a spell. Nathaniel. It didn't fit the image I had of a cold-hearted kidnapper, but then again, nothing about him really made sense. I turned a few pages. What I found shook me. Drawings, sketches of a girl with red hair, dozens of them, all different, smiling, crying, running, bleeding. Some pages had long, messy paragraphs written in frantic handwriting. Notes about guilt, loss, revenge. Mentions of a man named Mason. I didn't understand it all, but I saw enough to realize Nathaniel was haunted by something much deeper than a broken heart. That night, I didn't sleep. I couldn't. My heart ached in a way I couldn't explain. This man. He had built a prison not just for me, but for himself too. The next morning, I confronted him. "Owned you loved her, didn't you?" I asked, keeping my voice calm. He didn't flinch, more than anything. Since she died because of someone named Mason. His eyes turned cold. He stared at me for a long time before nodding. Yes, he took her from me, just like that, and the world did nothing. His fists clenched. I'd never seen him angry before, not like this. It scared me. "And me?" I whispered. "Why me?" He looked at me then, his voice low. "Because I needed someone to blame, someone to punish. You looked like her." I swallowed hard. I wanted to scream. I wanted to cry, but I didn't. Instead, I said the most dangerous thing I could think of. You don't need to punish anyone anymore. She's gone, and I'm not her." He stared at me. I could feel something shifting in him, a crack in the ice. For the next few days, he changed. He stopped locking the doors. He started eating meals with me. Sometimes we'd sit in silence. Other times we'd talk for hours. I found myself watching him more. How he moved, how he thought, how he protected his pain like a wounded animal. And I hated myself for it, but I was falling deeper. One night, we sat on the porch. The sky was painted with stars and fireflies danced in the dark. "And you're not who I thought you were," I told him. He chuckled softly. "Neither are you." We sat in silence for a while. Then he said, I can let you go, Amelia." My heart stopped. I don't want to keep you here anymore," he continued. "But if you walk away now, we can never see each other again." Tears stung my eyes. It was what I dreamed of for weeks, freedom. But now, it felt like a knife to the chest. "I don't know what I want," I whispered. He reached out slowly, gently touching my hand. His touch sent shivers down my spine. "And stay until you do." And I did. I stayed. Days turned into a strange kind of heaven. I cooked for him. He read poetry to me. We danced once, barefoot in the kitchen, to an old radio tune. And for a moment, I forgot everything, how we met, the ropes, the blindfold. I was just a girl in love. But the notebook never left my mind. The name Mason haunted me like a shadow I couldn't shake. Then one day, I found Nathaniel gone. He didn't leave a note. No warning. I searched the whole house, yelling his name. Nothing. I waited hours. Darkness fell. I paced, panicked, sweating. Then I found it, a map, folded and hidden under his bed, a location circled in red, the name N. Mason Tiller, written beside it. My stomach dropped. He was going after him. Something inside me snapped. I knew what would happen. Nathaniel would kill him, and it would destroy whatever was left of his soul, and maybe mine too. But something else was screaming in my head. What if this Mason really did deserve it? What if Nathaniel was right all along? The next morning, I packed a bag. I wasn't going to wait. I was going after Nathaniel. But not to stop him. No. I was going to help him finish it. And then I would kill him myself. Because love wasn't supposed to feel like this. Because no matter how much I cared, I could never forget what he did to me. And I couldn't let him do it again. Not to anyone. The bus ride to Hollow Pines felt longer than time itself. I sat by the window, the map in my hand and Nathaniel's voice echoing in my head. Every bump on the road rattled my bones, but I couldn't tell if it was the motion or the war raging inside me. Could you love a monster and still want him dead? The small town was quiet, too quiet. I followed the red circle on the map to a cabin hidden deep in the woods. Moss covered the walls, and the windows were foggy from age. I stood there for a moment, listening. No voices, no footsteps, just the wind, whispering secrets through the trees. Inside, I found Nathaniel. His hands were trembling as he stared at a man tied to a chair, older, worn down, but still breathing. Mason. Nathaniel didn't look surprised to see me. Maybe he expected me. Maybe some twisted part of him hoped I'd come. "T's the one," Nathaniel said, not turning away from the man. "And he hurt her, took her from me, and now I'm going to take everything from him." I stepped closer. "And then what?" He glanced at me. His eyes were wild, but there was pain behind them. "And I'll finally be free." I looked at Mason. He was beaten, bloodied, but still alive. "Did you do it?" I asked him. He coughed, smirking. "That girl? Yeah, I remember her. She begged like a dog, and he nodded at Nathaniel, couldn't protect her. Pathetic." Nathaniel lunged, rage exploding out of him. His hands tightened around Mason's throat, but before he could finish it, I pulled him back. "Don't," I whispered. "He deserves it." Nathaniel growled. "Yes. Maybe he does, but you don't deserve what will happen to you after." Nathaniel shook. I held him close. For a second he melted in my arms like a broken child, and that was the last moment I loved him, because then I reached into my pocket and stabbed him. Not hard, just enough. He gasped, falling to his knees. "I'm sorry," I whispered, tears blinding me. "But I can't let you keep destroying lives. Yours. Mine. Anyone's." Mason laughed in the background, coughing blood. "Oh, now this is real love." I walked over to him slowly. Nathaniel watched, barely able to move, his hand pressed against his bleeding side. I bent down in front of Mason and stared into his eyes. "I didn't do it for you," I said, "and you're going to die either way." And then I finished what Nathaniel started. It was quiet afterward, the kind of silence that wraps around your bones and never lets go. I turned to Nathaniel. He looked at me like he didn't know who I was anymore. Maybe I didn't either. "You planned this," he whispered. "And I had to," I said. "And you took everything from me. My freedom, my peace, my soul. I had to get it back." He tried to stand, but his body gave out. I sat beside him, just like that, in the dirt with the blood between us, and I were never just a villain, I said softly, and I was never just a victim. We became something else, something in between. "Sin, I loved you," he said, barely audible. "I know," I whispered, "and I'll carry that weight forever." When I left the cabin, the sun was rising. Gold spilled through the trees like forgiveness. I didn't call the police. I didn't need to. The fire I started inside would handle everything. No one would ever know what happened in that forest. And me? I disappeared, changed my name, started over. But some nights, when the wind howls through the cracks in my window, I remember his voice, his touch, the way he said my name like it was a prayer and a curse. I don't know if I'll ever love again. But I do know one thing. Some stories don't have heroes, just survivors.